p.m. And so let's do a round robin of, I'll just sort of name out people's, tell us where you are, what's the temperature, and what's the weather been like lately? Have you seen anything cool things in the sky? So we may as well start with Sean, since you're in an interesting place. What's the weather?
Thank you very much. So I'm in a place called Bushman's Rivermouth, which is in the Eastern Cape of South Africa on the coast. Right now it's 17 degrees Celsius.
Not bad for the winter.
Yeah, it's not a very pleasant winter. The sun is already set, and I think the light from the full moon is just visible there through the window. We had a few with like these cold fronts, these depressions that passed through the south west part of South Africa recently, so it was a bit rainy and cold. But today it's not too bad. If I was still in Joburg, right now I'm visiting family down here. If I was still in Joburg, it would be much colder. It would be single digits Celsius.
Right. I'm in Rome, where the last couple of days it's actually cooled off. It's in the upper 70s Fahrenheit here. And also 6 o'clock. Bob, what's it like in Michigan?
It is gorgeous in Michigan. It is almost 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and my wife and I went for a bike ride. She got a brand new recumbent, so she can go for bike rides with me now. It's awesome.
Great. And Margaret, you're not that far away. What have you seen in the sky?
Not a heck of a lot. I've been inside most of the time. Well, okay. There's been the overcast from the wildfires and every now and then storm clouds, but that's about it.
Okay, Christopher, what's it like in New York?
Delightful, finally. Like Bob's weather, limited humidity, so I'll take it after the heat wave.
Okay, James. Debbie, you're muted.
Mostly cloudy and been hot and muggy for the last week and haven't been able to see anything in the sky.
You're in Connecticut, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Carmen.
Well, here in Uruguay, South America, the same latitude as our speaker, it's a beautiful winter day, clear and 12 centigrades. But last night it was cloudy. I hope tonight will be better. Thank you.
Okay, Larry.
This is Larry in just north of downtown Tucson. It's 96 now, I think, going up to 106, which are 107, or actually no, 109. Take it back. Which is still about 4 or 5 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. You can see by my picture, this was a bloom that occurred this morning and it will be gone by this evening. And what I've seen recently, I've got some pictures of Venus with Uranus and the Pleiades and Saturn with Neptune.
Excellent. Yes, I've been watching Venus in the morning when I go out for my walk. Paul Gabor, where are you now?
You missed Juan Pablo.
No, I'm doing it in my order, not yours.
Well, all right. I'm in Birmingham. This is called Manresa House, and it is a novitiate for a number of provinces in Western Europe, Ireland, Britain, France, the Netherlands, and Czechia and Slovakia. So I'll be here for a few days. My trip was in fact caused by a funeral that I needed to attend, and since I'm in Britain, I decided to stop here in this house. But the wonderful thing that perhaps those of you who are closer to the equator didn't appreciate yet is that we are at the lunar standstill, great lunar standstill. So in other words, the moon is extremely low above the horizon, unseasonably. I mean, this happens every 18.6 years or something like that. So here at what is it, 53rd, 54th degree of northern latitude, it is only about 10 degrees above the horizon, culminating. So it is kind of crazy. We have this huge full moon, very low in the sky.
Fabulous. Juan Pablo.
Hi everyone, I'm in transition right now. Basically, I just left Spain the other day and I'm on my way to New York in a couple of days, but I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now. And it is 37 Celsius today, clear skies, beautiful day.
Marvelous. Phil.
Hi, greetings all. I'm in eastern North Carolina, New Bern, where the summers are very hot and very humid. Have not seen too much other than the moon, but do plan to get out and do some more viewing when the clouds part at night.
Celia.
Hi, from Boston, Massachusetts. It is raining and a very nice 65 degrees. We just came off a very hot few days, so we're actually reveling in it. But a bit cloudy here, not a whole lot to see yet.
Okay. Matus. If I'm saying that right.
Hello,
Suzuki.
everybody. Yes. I'm young Jesuit from Poland. Nice to meet you. And young scholastic. And now I'm in college. It's in Poland, about 200 kilometers from Warsaw, and it's mostly cloudy.
Fabulous. Robert.
Yes.
Tyndall, South Dakota, extreme southeast South Dakota. It's 79 degrees, humid, and we should reach into the 90s today. The weather pattern's been producing thunderstorms in the late afternoon and evening. We actually had some hail last night, so the viewing has been a little obscure, but I appreciate the comments about the moon. I'll definitely look at that tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Gary.
Hi, I'm in Wisconsin, and temperature is about 75. It's sunny out. That's after, as some people have said, a heat wave and a lot of humidity, a lot of both rain and overcast weather we've had.
Okay, Richard.
Richard from Corpus Christi, Texas, and it's hot here. But I just have to point out that we had this tragedy. It's not exactly celestial, but the tragedy in Kirk County above us. 20 inches of rain in a few hours, and the tragic end of these people and into the Guadalupe River. It's hit all of us Texans kind of hard. Thank you.
All right, we'll keep you in on our prayers. Francis.
It is 83 and partly sunny in Davenport, Iowa. Just like everyone else in the Midwest, heat wave and humidity.
Okay. And Sherilyn. Maybe she can't hear us, or maybe she can't record. Anyway, welcome everybody. It's here it is. She put hers in the chat, so I'll read it, which is to say, okay, camera isn't working. In Pflugerville, outside of Austin, Texas, 84 degrees and sunny. Continue to pray for everybody affected by the Texas floods, because that area is in her diocese of Austin and the Archdiocese of San Antonio. So, okay, we will remember. All right, well, it's great to see all of you guys, and also great to be able to see Paul again. We missed you the last couple of months. So, Paul, can you give us an update on what's happening at the VAT right now? What's happening at the telescope?
Nothing. We are in lightning shutdown, but
well, describe to people what that's about.
Well, basically because of monsoon and the frequency of lightning, or at least electrical discharges that are always a big factor in these high elevations. We basically and not just the Vatican telescope, but all the telescopes in southern Arizona, go into this basically 2-month shutdown period, a summer shutdown period. So we use that time to do some maintenance. We will be taking down both cameras and the computer, etc. We'll also be doing quite an interesting little experiment with our instrument interface, which is colloquially known as the guide box. It's a box, as the name implies, that is under the telescope, and it is full of little gizmos that move mirrors around and filters and things like that. So this guide box has an issue which only manifests in very cold weather. So we will take it into a freezer and put it in a freezer and try to see whether we can reproduce the fault. And with a little bit of luck, we might then be able to perhaps even get rid of the fault. So anyway, that's one of the projects for this summer. And there'll be some other smaller things, like we have these nice new bogies for the dome that allow the dome to move very smoothly around.
Remind folks what a bogey is. I know what it is, but
I think it's a kind of an evil spirit, isn't it?
Indeed.
No, that's maybe something else. So no, these are essentially assemblies that the main feature of which, of course, is a wheel. In our case, we have two kinds of bogies, ones that are just fixed length, and the others that have a spring. So in other words, the spring then makes sure that the weight of the dome is distributed evenly amongst those wheels. There's 17 of them, and don't ask me why we have 17 points of support for anything, 17 is a prime, so it's one of the numbers that is least optimal for anything like this, but it's what we have to live with, because there are 17.
So these are the wheels that the dome sits on when the dome spins around.
Correct.
Got
That's
it.
how it's arranged. The wheels are kind of sticking upwards rather than downwards.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we need to swap two of them to distribute the weight better. And, so there are some other smaller things that have to do with the software and so on that we'll be working on this summer. So hopefully we'll manage to do at least a part of what we would like. It usually ends up being very different in the end to what we've planned.
I remember years ago when I was using the telescope that one of the gizmos that we had for a lightning shutdown was a big metal bolt that you would put on the track and then twist it so it touched the dome, so that if lightning hit the dome, the current would go through the bolt and rather than through something more delicate. Is that still the case?
No, I'm afraid not. We had to retire that thing because it's not easy to do that without somebody being physically present. And the bolt is definitely too large and too heavy for our trained squirrels to operate. So instead,
you don't have a robot that carries it over and puts it in place.
Instead, we have just this little arm that moves what do you call those things? It's not a wire. It's a sort of a wire mesh, sort of a braid of wires that is made of copper, and that thing is the thing that actually makes the electrical connection between the dome itself and the rest of the building. So that thing is on the end of a little, I think it's plastic rod that basically just pushes it against the top of the dome, the bottom of the dome, basically.
How often does the telescope actually get hit by lightning in a typical year? Or do we know?
Well, I wouldn't call it lightning, but electrical discharges, and probably maybe 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Because We can tell because there are these little holes in the aluminum of the dome.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I remember we had a boat that we kept in the Great Lakes when I was growing up in Michigan, a sailboat with a wooden mast and a wooden and fiberglass hull, but the stays were metal. And we showed up one day and discovered little holes in the hull of the boat. The lightning had hit the metal stay, run down, and gone out to the water, poking holes through the boat itself.
Wow.
It was quite dramatic.
So how much water was there inside it?
Oh, fortunately, it hit before above the water line, and the holes are relatively small.
Okay.
But it did totally shatter all of the electrical wiring, the wires that ran lights and things inside the boat. Anyway, it's great to have everybody here, and I'm especially delighted to have with us Sean van Staden, who is a Jesuit in South Africa, who has just spent the month of June with us at the Vatican Observatory's Summer School. So Sean, welcome, and introduce yourself to the crowd here.
Thanks so much, Guy. It's great to be here with everybody. Like I said, my name is Sean van Staden. I'm a South African Jesuit. I'm a scholastic, so I'm in information for priesthood. And I have just finished the Regency stage of formation, which is that bit in between philosophy and theology studies. So I've been for 2 years working in a place called the Jesuit Institute in Johannesburg, doing a lot of the media work and the spirituality work there, spiritual accompaniment and the like. And yeah, I just had spent that wonderful month of June at Castel Gandolfo for the summer school. And in less than 2 weeks, in 9 days, I am flying to Nairobi, Kenya, to begin my theology studies.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and what kind of family did you come from?
So I grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa, with my mom. My parents are separated, and my mom moved back in with my grandparents. So I grew up in sort of that big extended family, mom, grandparents, aunts and uncles all together. Slowly different people moved around, and that's so I ended up just with my mom and my aunt. My dad lives in New Zealand, in Auckland, and I've got a brother there. So yeah, I just grew up normal. I would consider myself a normal Joburg boy.
What kind of work did your family do? Were they working in offices? Were they working in farms? What did they do for a living?
So my grandparents worked in retail, and they did driving. My grandfather did airport shuttles. He was like an Uber driver before Uber. And my mom works in admin. She still works in admin. She works for Discovery. And my dad is a professional golfer. He's a golf coach. So
yeah. So out of all of that, how did you wind up first getting into aeronautical engineering?
Yeah, it's a good question. So growing up had just an obsession with airplanes. Don't exactly know where it came from. I think a few trips growing up, and the most exciting bit of the entire holiday was the flight, which is often still the case. And so I just had this love of airplanes and aviation growing up. And then I found myself at school to be pretty decent at maths and science.
Where did you go to school? Where was your high school?
I was at a school called Northcliffe High School in Johannesburg.
Catholic school or
yeah,
private
just
or public?
A government
Okay.
Government school. Yeah. Had a little cliff. Have you seen the famous Table Mountain? Right, Northcliffe Hill is a much smaller, less famous version in Johannesburg, and so the school, you can see the cliff. So Northcliffe, you can see the Northcliffe of it, and yeah, it's just a normal government school. And I went there, did the subject, math, science, that kind of stuff. Tried my hand at sports, and then so but I at the end of high school wanted to find something that combined that sort of love of maths and science with the love of airplanes. So that's why I opted for aeronautical engineering. So I studied at the University of the Witwatersrand, or Wits University in Johannesburg. Yeah, I did a 4-year degree there, and then after that,
So
did my
what year would
master's
you
as
have
well.
graduated? When would you have graduated then?
Graduated the BSc 2015, then did an MSc 2016, 2017, graduated 2018.
Okay, so did you work in industry? Did you find a job designing airplanes? Was that the kind of thing you wanted to do?
Unfortunately not. It was what I really wanted to do. I ended up going straight from the bachelor's into the master's. And but quite enjoyed it. The nice thing about the master's was it was fully by research. So I just had to do I kind of, it felt like a job to me because I kind of went to the office, went down to the lab, did some worked on preparing experiments, did the lab work itself, so it didn't feel like school. It felt like day job.
Mm-hmm. What was the project you were working on?
My project it's got quite a hefty title. It was laser shock peening, which is shooting bits of aluminium with lasers to put in a residual stress which prevents cracking. So my job was I had two aspects of it. One was to measure the residual stresses in different techniques and to compare those techniques to see how the residual stress measurements came out, and also to vary the laser parameters. So maybe the size of the laser spot, the power of the laser, the coverage of the laser on the aluminium samples, and to see how that affected the residual stress. So the magnitude of the compressive residual stress, the depth of it, the depth of the peak, the shape of the residual stress through the depth, that kind of thing. And so to compare how, as you change the parameters, how did that change the residual stress?
So was that the kind of thing you really wanted to do, or were you actually hoping to put pencil to paper and draw cool airplanes and see if you could make them
the real
fly?
love was to draw cool airplanes, right? So it wasn't fully, I suppose, what I wanted to do. But that being said, I found myself really enjoying it. The connection to aviation was that we were using aviation materials, so that was how we justified it as aeronautical engineering. Material science wasn't exactly the first love, but I found myself really enjoying it. I really enjoyed the lab work. I really enjoyed doing these residual stress measurements using X-ray diffraction and that, because we got to use all these really cool equipment and playing with synchrotrons, and neutron diffraction and stuff like that was really fun.
Of course, the interesting thing is all of that is the same kind of equipment we use to make measurements of meteorites. So maybe we can suck you into that at some point.
maybe there's a way in there.
But the question then is, how do you go from shooting lasers at pieces of aluminum to becoming a Jesuit priest in training? There's got to have been something interesting that happened there.
Yeah, that's quite a pivot, I suppose. So growing up, I'd had this interest in priesthood. I was very involved in my parish. I was at this parish called St. John's North Riding, pretty typical suburban parish, which had a very vibrant youth group, which was wonderful. And I was very involved in that youth group. So, and I found that I really enjoyed it. This was a happy space for me. Being involved at the youth group, helping out, leading the youth groups really just made me realize that I quite enjoyed this. So I had this idea of priesthood already from high school throughout the engineering degree, but I couldn't quite, it wasn't like taking root, so to speak. So I just kind of left it. And then when Pope Francis was elected in 2013, so I was in my second year of the undergraduate, I was just blown away by this man. He came out there dressed so conspicuously differently. He rode the buses, he went and paid for his own ticket, and that sounds like there's something different. And I noticed that of the people around me, half of them were really happy about him, half of them were really unhappy about him, and they all were. The common thing about those two groups of people was that he was a Jesuit. He's a Jesuit Pope, and people were going. Half the people were going, yes, he's a Jesuit. And half the people were going, oh no, he's a Jesuit. So I thought, okay, there's something up here. So I googled this word Jesuit, and really loved what I found. Just thought this is awesome. It kind of like it was like, oh, this is it, I love the spirituality, finding God in all things, and I love the work of and this way of working, of trying to do everything for the greater glory of God. I found that very attractive.
Now, when I was in Johannesburg, which is now 25 years ago, the parish right next to the Wits was in fact run by the Jesuits. Is that still the case?
Yes, it is. So that's Holy Trinity Church in Braamfontein. So while I was a student, I started attending Mass there. They've got a lunchtime Mass, which is great for the students and many of the people working in town. So I used to attend Mass there, and then that also became my first contact with real life Jesuits rather than on the internet Jesuits. So that's where I got to know the parish priest, the chaplain. Realized, oh, so in real life they're cool too.
So you've got your master's degree in engineering. Is that the time when you decided to make the step sideways into the Jesuit novitiate?
Yeah, pretty much. So I wanted to join already after the undergraduate. I couldn't join because I had some debt that I had to pay off. So I used the scholarship money from my master's was paying me enough that I could pay off my loans. So I paid off the loans. The moment the loans were clear, I applied and joined 2018.
What was the kind of reaction you got from your family?
Yeah, not very happy, not a very enthusiastic one. I'm my mom's only child, so I can very much understand her response. She likes to say, "You are my retirement plan."
Well, a different kind of retirement, who knows?
Yeah. There's a different kind of retirement plan now. So yeah, that wasn't easy. We had to do lots of negotiation. My Jesuit spiritual director at the time, and I used to call it mom management. So we used to have to find a way to kind of be gentle and understanding with her and be able to listen to her, but at the same time be able to say, but this is the longing in my heart. This is the thing I want to follow. So let me kind of follow that path.
Did you have support from friends?
This difficulty for you, Mom.
Yeah. Did you have support from friends, people who were saying, yes, you should do this, or no, you're crazy?
Yeah, most of my friends were quite supportive. The church friends were all like, "Oh, we knew it," and most people, a lot of people were like, "But what's a Jesuit?" Because there aren't many in South Africa, not so well known. So there was a lot of confusion about, who's it, what's a Jesuit? I think some people still aren't 100% sure. Yeah, so I kind of, but most of my friends were very supportive actually, and continue to be.
So from there, how did you find out about the Vatican Observatory?
I mean, I already knew about it. So part of my excessive Googling about what it meant to be a Jesuit, I inevitably came across your own videos, for example, on YouTube, your TED Talks. You always
and
come.
that didn't scare you away.
Amazingly. So yeah, I mean, there were the YouTube videos. There's the website, there's the social media stuff. So I kind of had read about the observatory, and I think that integrated into this idea of finding God in all things for me.
Now, you got in touch with us. You came to us. Were you encouraged by your novice master or your philosophy teachers?
Not too much. So novitiate, I kind of put all thoughts of science or anything behind me. I kind of just said, let me just focus on the prayer and on Jesuit life. I didn't even Google airplane things while I was there. I just focused on, okay, just put all that aside and focus on the society. Somewhere in the back of my mind was always, oh yeah, there are Jesuit scientists, and maybe God might invite me to that one day. But I kind of just put it all beside me. And then it all came flooding back on the day I flew from novitiate to philosophy studies. We flew from, I did my novitiate in Lusaka in Zambia, and then my philosophy in Harare, Zimbabwe. So flying between the two. We flew on Ethiopian Airlines, and they operate an Airbus A350 on that. And it was my first time on an A350. And having been outside of the aviation world for those 2 years, and then this day, I just remember all this excitement, and I remember spending the whole night watching how A350s are made and that kind of thing after we landed in Harare.
Well, tell people about the A350 in case they don't know the airplane by number.
Airbus A350 it's basically Airbus's most recent and modern and fuel efficient airplane. I mean, the cool thing about it is the wing is manufactured with additive manufacturing carbon fiber sheets. So it's almost like a 3D printed wing. You know, the way they lay down the carbon fiber, the sheets. Anyway, it's a very beautiful airplane, and I flew on one to Rome as well. So that was very exciting. So anyway, I think that just reminded me, oh my gosh, I actually still really love this stuff. So that was cool. That kind of passion, that excitement came back a little bit, and then I had to focus on my philosophy studies. So I think my focus shifted again to focusing on the philosophy, focusing on all the epistemology and the and all of that, and I kind of, so I don't know, my attention kind of went away from that a little bit. But so a few things that kept it alive a little bit at my philosophate, which is at Arupe Jesuit University in Zimbabwe. They had like a philosophy and science club and like an AI and philosophy club and that. So I was like attending those clubs and just kind of enjoying being a part of those clubs. I remember inviting you for a talk to the science talk. I thought this is something people need to know about, that the church does science, that there is this integration between faith and science. So I remember having this idea that this would be awesome. And it was COVID time, so everything was shifting to this kind of thing. So I thought, well, there's no way we were going to get Brother Guy to come and do a talk in Zimbabwe before, like, the logistics of that would be impossible. But all of a sudden, Zoom made that possible. So I had it in my my mind to do that. So I remember inviting you to that. And people responded so well, so eagerly to that. So there's so much enthusiasm around it. I think that's the thing that I notice is it makes people stop and think and say, wow, a little bit. So that remained in my mind. The next thing that happened was during the IAU last year. Was it last year?
Well, yeah, last year. But actually before then, didn't you meet one of our astronomers in the flesh? Or was that during IAU?
I was during IAU.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was
tell that story then. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I jump forward now 2 years. I've moved from Harare. I've moved to Johannesburg. And during the IAU, I think you and Chris Corbally went straight to Cape Town, but Jean-Baptiste passed through Johannesburg and spent a week in our community. So we were living with him, and it was again that excitement of like, okay, wow, there's a Jesuit astronomer that I'm living with, and chatting with him about his work and that, and just asking him, so what's it like being a Jesuit scientist? I think that was the question. That was the opening question for me. So what is it like being a Jesuit scientist? Again, I suppose it's this dynamic of shifting from Googling things to in the flesh. Seems to be a pattern in my life. So yeah, it was. That was exciting. And then because my job at the time was media and doing that kind of thing, I invited him. I asked Jean-Baptiste if I could interview him for our YouTube channel at the Jesuit Institute, and he agreed. So we did that. We made a little video, and the responses to that video were very positive. Yeah. And I noticed that we were relating well. I enjoyed interacting with Jean-Baptiste, and I think that was also when I started to ask, so what are the opportunities? What are the options with the observatory? What does it mean that I'm an engineer and an airplane fanatic rather than a scientist and an astronomer? Those kind of questions were on my mind, and so that was when he suggested a meeting with you, and the suggestion of the summer school came up there as well.
So let's fast forward now to the 1st of June this year, or actually a few days ahead of time. You fly into the Vatican Observatory. What was your first impression? Because you stayed in our community a few days before the school started, as I recall.
Yeah, so I mean, it was great. I landed on the A350 at Fiumicino Airport, and was fetched by Jacek, the minister of the community. So I must say I had a very positive first impression arriving at the observatory. It's really cool realizing that you're literally in Vatican territory. Like the internet IP address shows Vatican City State, not Italy, you know. On Netflix it shows top 10 movies in the Vatican, where it normally would say top 10 movies in South Africa kind of thing. I mean, I was like, okay, this is for real. This really is the Vatican, you know. I found the community and not just the Jesuit community, but the sort of community of the observatory very friendly and welcoming. So I arrived completely exhausted, but I was invited down for coffee in the little coffee room there, and everyone was in there having cappuccinos and cornetos and chatting and laughing and pointing out the papers, the scientific papers on the board there, and saying this one is Bayou's and this one is this person's. Just meeting the people, I think, was so. First impression, these are welcoming, loving people, and I mean that impression remained consistent throughout. Yeah.
So you start the summer school and you're surrounded by some of the brightest astronomers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a sink or swim sort of thing? How did you survive?
A lot of sinking. Yeah, I said at the end of the school that the two words I've been saying the most have been wow and what. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of wow, that's so cool, and then a lot of oh my gosh, what's going on?
Well, give me an example of each.
Wow, what's going on? Wow, look at that. Aichi's talk. Aichi was one of the faculty at the summer school, and he is at the University of Arizona, and he worked very closely with the NIRCam team, I think, on the James Webb Space Telescope. You know, he was part of the team that was in the control room when they were doing the alignment of the mirrors in there. So like him talking us through that and like realizing that gosh, this guy was actually there, part of it. I mean, that was a wow moment. And then a lot of the other wow moments are when you look at James Webb images. Okay, it's just a little red dot, and then you realize no, it's that little red dot is in a whole galaxy, and that it's 13 billion light years away, and that it's telling us something about the formation of the early stages of the formation of the universe. I mean, you think okay. You really have to put your mind into what this data is telling you about. So those were the kind of wow moments. The similar wow moments with the exoplanet stuff, and similar wow moments with the okay, this is actually what we're looking at. Wow, those were the wow moments. The confusing, the what? That was a lot of the terminology. Astronomers, I've realized, love acronyms. So like figuring out all the acronyms and like the different units for things, megajanskis per star radian, and like figuring out what's a magnitude. Like I'd heard about magnitude, but then getting it in my head that it's got to go the wrong way around, and like seeing
the low numbers are brighter and the big numbers are dimmer.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, just kind of getting the concept right. Things like the absolute and then the different types of magnitude and that. I mean, the most common kind of data is that we look at is of course a spectrum. So just you see it every single day, several times a day on the slides. You know, wavelength along the x-axis, and then some variant of magnitude on the or intensity or energy or some variant of that on the y-axis. So like kind of looking at it and then conceptualizing what's going on there. It took me a few lectures to kind of get used to all that. And then chemistry was never my strong point, and there's a hell of a lot of chemistry in astronomy. I mean, they're looking at all the H2 lines and the Lyman alpha and the Lyman breaks and the you know, all of that terminology, which is essentially a chemical understanding of a chemical light interaction, right? Like whether it's an absorption or an emission. That took me a few days to like, okay, right now I know what Lyman alpha is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took me a few days, but that was okay. What was really helpful is that astronomers love their work, love what they're doing. So they have such an enthusiasm. So like at no point were, like you mentioned, I was with some of the brightest astronomers in the world. They're also very kind and very enthusiastic. So you're sitting next to someone, and like I want to be embarrassed to ask what's going on there, but then I sort of just say, "What's going on there?" And she goes, "Oh, well, it's this, it's this, it's this. Let me send you a paper and look at this," and then Googling the right thing to show me, you know. And I spent a lot of time on Google, by the way. So that was really helpful because realizing that people were not competitive, they were helpful. They were like very happy to be like, yeah, that's what this is, you know, that's what's going on here. So that was great.
One of the things that the students do are projects.
Mhm.
And so you were a part of a couple of projects, right? Because you would be in a team of 3 or 4 other students. How did you choose what you were going to do, and what did you wind up contributing to the team?
So in the first project, I chose the one that had the pretty pictures. I'm not going to make any pretense about that. I chose to work on the ones which is the FANGS gallery, which is FANGS Galaxies, PHANGS, which is a database of I think they're sort of more nearby galaxies, lower redshift than some of the other stuff James Webb has been looking at. What I liked about it was like in the image you could see the whole galaxy. Yeah, there's the FANGS images there. I like that you could sort of see the whole galaxy. So it didn't feel as little red dot like for me. It was proper galaxies. And the project I looked at was doing data processing, so downloading the data from the FANGS database, and then doing some data processing on that to infer different. Basically, it was the chemistry again. Like we were looking for a particular kind of molecule, which they inferred from the particular ratio of the light values from different filters from James Webb. So basically different wavelengths. So basically you're looking for emissions in certain area relative to a different wavelength, inferring the amount of this particular type of hydrocarbon.
And so presumably just, downloading and manipulating data, you can do that. That's what you've been doing all along.
Exactly. So that wasn't too bad. But except that, of course, I hadn't used Python for 8 years. So refiguring out Python, refiguring out some of the stuff, making lots of little errors, getting a few brackets wrong here and there. Again, the students just being like, "Oh no, you've just left this thing out." Yeah.
For
I
those,
felt kind of chuffed with myself
for
because
people
I
who
was
don't know,
able to.
Right, tell people what Python is.
Oh, okay. Python, the programming language.
Okay.
So, yeah. Wonderful. And we were using the Google Colab, which is very similar to sort of a Jupyter notebook so it's an online, like cloud-based form of programming. So it doesn't do the processing on your own machine. It does it sort of on Google service. So it's like doing, yeah, and it's doing coding using the Python language, using this tool, which is also very collaborative. So you can share that one notebook amongst the whole team, and everyone can see you editing the code. And then it's split into little sections, and you can run each section of the code separately, which is very convenient. I don't know if that's a helpful explanation of.
No, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then what was the other project?
The other project was exoplanets. I found I really liked the exoplanet stuff. I was enjoying it. Exoplanets are planets orbiting other stars, not in our own solar system. And what we were looking at was transits of it. There are many ways to see an exoplanet, right? Depending on the distance of the exoplanet from its star, some you see because as they pass in front of the host star, the light from that star dips slightly. So you'll get this pattern with a dip as the planet transits and then grows. Those would have to be larger planets that are nearby their star, so that they're sort of large enough to actually block the light and larger and nearby enough. Sometimes if they're further away, you can see them through direct imaging where you might cover the light of the star and then see the light of the exoplanet if it's at a slight distance. And there were 3 or 4 other ways of seeing an exoplanet. And I'm not remembering them very well in the moment, but there are a few ways of seeing exoplanets. So this was a transit experiment, and the idea was to plan the experiment. And I enjoyed that because it made me think. So just like to the Fangs one, I was like, well, downloading and manipulating data, that's something I can handle. That feels familiar enough. Again, this one, planning an experiment, this feels familiar enough. So I went for the relative familiarity with relative newness as well. So there was something new, something familiar. So planning an experiment. So we had to look at we had to go on the the exoplanet database. I'm wondering if I can remember the name of the archive. Yes, the NASA, the one that Bob's put in there, the NASA Exoplanet Archive. Then you search for the name of a planet, and then it gives you all the information about that planet from different sources. So it can tell you the radius of the planet, its mass, its volume, its period around its star. It can tell you how long a transit takes as it goes past the star. It gives you all the different information, which has been found through observation, by different observations. Mostly, a lot of them with Hubble and James Webb. So our idea was to plan an observation and then submit an actual application form for James Webb. So fill out the application form for use of a time on James Webb, which meant you had to do things like look at when was the next transit of this planet at a time when James Webb could observe it, and then specify the start time and then specify the length of the observation. So all of that kind of stuff. It was really cool, actually.
Because, one thing to say, oh, we'll take a look at it. Another thing to actually learn, what do you have to do in order to say, this is what I want to look at? All the details that went into it. I remember hearing you talk about that, and it was just fascinating. Yeah. So from here, we have a few minutes left. And again, if people have questions, feel free to type them into the chat box. But my question for you is, what's in the future for Sean and astronomy? Do you know, or do you have an idea?
It's difficult to say what I know. What I know about my future is that my next mission is theology. Mm-hmm. And what I know, the other things that I know with less certainty is that I maybe need to do more theology, some fourth year of theology or postgraduate theology. I also know that it will be expected of me to do some pastoral time. So in terms of like a full-time professional astronomy, there's not much room, but there is room for amateur astronomy as much as I can. I'm really looking forward to going to Nairobi, to being so close to the equator and seeing the stars there. I think I'm really blessed actually, because in this space of 2 months, I'm going to see the northern hemisphere sky, the southern hemisphere sky, and the equator sky. And to be able to like just compare those differences. I think I'll try read as much as I can, keep in touch. If I can get to dark sky areas, I'll try my best. One thing that I'm enjoying is astrophotography. I love a bit of photography, so if I can try get my camera to a place where it can actually take some pretty photos, I might try to do the same. If I get an opportunity to do observations or learn about instrumentation or something, I'll certainly take that. Other than that, I think I need to see where the Spirit leads. I can't say for sure where the Spirit will lead. What will be the needs of the Jesuits in my area? What are going to be the skills and interests that I develop during theology? All of that, those are to be discovered. And I really want to see kind of where the Spirit leads. I think I need to be open to that.
One thing that I'd like the folks here and the audience here to appreciate is the time involved. Now, you're what, in your late 20s now?
Early 30s.
Early 30s. So after you finished your theology, assuming a fourth year of theology, what age would you be?
By then I'll be 36.
And if at that point you wanted to go off and get a doctorate in astronomy, you'd be in your 40s before you could actually begin to do research in astronomy. And that's fairly typical. You know, Bob Mackey came here in his 40s to start doing research. I was in my 40s when I arrived at the Vatican Observatory, though I already had a doctorate by that point. This is one of the challenges of being a Jesuit scientist. And yet, Jesuits managed to pull this off. And there's, of course, there's also not a retirement age. Here I am at, pushing 73, and I'm still doing astronomy. So this is one of the joys and one of the challenges of being a scientist with the Jesuits. I really am so delighted you were able to join us here. Let's see if there are any other kinds of questions from people in the audience. Give you a few moments. JP writes, it's great to meet you. I'm a Jesuit priest. I went to the 2007 VOS when you was a scholastic. I teach astronomy in Arizona. I've got a sports pilot's license and working on getting a glider's pilot license. So these are the other things you can do as a Jesuit.
Awesome. And the number of people who've said to me, Sean, why don't you get your pilot's license? And I'm like, no, that's impossible as a Jesuit.
Nothing is impossible.
No, it's not impossible. I got it when I was a regent.
When you're a regent even. Oh my word.
Yeah. I got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. If there's any other comments, that's great. We have come to the close of our time here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank everybody here for being part of this. And we'll see you next month. Enjoy the full moon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Maureen. Always great to see you. JP, you're coming to New York? When?
I fly to Newark for on the 17th in a week, and then I'll get to New York on the 24th.
How long are you staying?
Until the 30th. I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm out of town. I'm on vacation. Otherwise, I would make sure to see you. But I'm hopefully going to be in Phoenix in the fall. I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, I'll be in New York. I believe the 24th or 23rd to the 30th, basically that week.
Where are you staying?
Oh man, in New York, I don't know. I'm doing a wedding, and the family that put me up in a hotel in downtown New York, basically. So.
Oh, very nice. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it's a hotel basically with a wedding party with a family. Yeah. I did not request a room at the Jesuits. Yeah. So I've never been to New York, so I'm looking forward to that.
Very good. Yeah. I don't know how much time you'll have, but if you need any, I'm sure you'll get plenty of recommendations. And I would certainly show you around myself, but I'm heading out on vacation.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but thank you, though.
Welcome.
So, where are you from, JP?
I'm from Mexico, but I belong to the Jesuits West here in the United States. So it's the western province of the U.S.
Okay. And are you at the Tucson Vatican Observatory community, or?
No, I live in Phoenix at the Jesuit high school community. I teach at the high school we have in Phoenix. But I do go to Tucson fairly often to meet up with the guys there and visit up and do some astronomy.
Okay. Oh, well, that must be cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How did it come about that you got a pilot's license?
Yeah, I know. Well, I wanted to do it, and nothing simple.
Found a way.
It took a while because at the same time I was teaching as a regent and then taking time to take flying classes. That was tough, because I didn't have too much free time, but I got it done. Yeah, it's the most basic one, the light sport license, which requires the less amount of study and hours.
Right. Okay.
That's all I need. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be flying for hire. So
yeah, sure.
And right now I'm working on a glider rating.
Well, that'll be cool.
Here in Arizona. Yeah, amazing. So it's great to meet another Jesuit who loves airplanes and the stars.
Yes, it is always nice. Yeah. We have another Jesuit here in South Africa who loves airplanes as well, and
cool.
like every time I fly, he watches my flight on Flight Radar.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for sharing all that stuff. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Thank you for your vocation and good luck with your studies. And yeah, keep me posted about your ordination and everything.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll drop my email here in the chat box, so you want to send me an email.
Yeah, let me do that. And Christopher, you're not a Jesuit, are you?
No, I'm neither a Jesuit nor an astronomer. I'm the fundraising. Yeah, I'm the fundraising director for the EOF. So I've worked with I work most on this call. I work most closely with Bob, who is not a Jesuit but is very much an astronomer. He is our internet and IT person, and then JP has been involved with the observatory and has been a big help to us in a number of ways because especially because he's in Phoenix and the telescope the observatory has offices in Tucson, a couple of hours down the road, and then the telescope is a ways from there. But I try to see JP whenever I'm in Phoenix, but that's far too infrequent. And I'm afraid I won't go there this summer because it's too hot. But I'll go. I'll go hopefully in the fall.
Yeah, when everyone was saying the temperatures around the Arizona people were saying the temperatures, I thought, oh my word, that sounds awful.
Yeah. You know, we deal with it. Just stay inside, jump in the pool, and
That's right. Jump in the pool at your community. You're one of those. I've been to a few Jesuit communities. Yours is the only one that I found so far that has a pool.
Well, the one in Tucson used to have one.
It used to, yes. Don't tell that to Rich Boyle. He will remind you of that.
Exactly. Don't remind them of the good old times when the pool is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got to sign off here. Bob, thank you very much for everything. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Sean, send me an email and we'll keep in contact and yeah, good luck in your studies and your vocation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hope to meet you one day. Hope to meet all three of you one day.
Yeah. God bless. Thank you.
God bless.
Clear skies, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.